Hey everyone, Dan Mortimer with eXp Realty, and I am bringing you the weekly update. This is for data as of December 23rd, 2024. So excited to bring you guys the latest data for the Henderson and Las Vegas market. Again, I post new content to my YouTube channel every single week. I want to keep you informed about what's going on in the real estate market. So let's dive into the data, see what's going on the last 7 days. We had 402 new listings. And again, just as kind of a preface to all this data, it's a little bit tricky with the holidays. We saw it around Thanksgiving. We saw it around the election. So these numbers may kind of be a little bit different than what we see in a typical week, because obviously we're coming up on the holiday season, Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. So 402 new listings in the last 7 days. We had 111 properties come back on the market. There were 312 properties that had a price decrease of some kind. It could be $1, could be $10,000, $100,000, just any price decrease that adds to the stats. So 312 of those. And this is the other interesting one. We've seen this trend. We saw it last week. We're seeing it again. 205 properties went into under contract show status. Another 296 went into under contract no show status. So in total, about 501 homes going under contract in the last 7 days. Big jump. A little higher than the new listing numbers. As far as solds go, we had 492 sales close in the last 7 days and another 48 that went into coming soon status. So they'll be active on the MLS in the next 30 days or less. Let's get into the active numbers. As of right now, or as of the last 7 days, current numbers, sorry, I'm a little scrambled right now. We have 5,569 active single-family homes on the market, 1,173 condos, and 775 townhouses that are currently active on the local MLS. So the trend, I think, is kind of continuing. This is what we've been seeing. We especially saw it last week. That was kind of when we first started to see the number of under contracts exceed the number of new listings, and it was really, really close. But this week we saw quite a bit of a jump. 500 homes going under contract compared to 402 new listings. So that's a big jump. Now, this coming week's going to be a little bit tricky because of the Christmas holiday. Title companies are closed. We're not going to see as many homes close. We're probably not going to see as many new listings either, but this is the trend that I've been talking about for a few months, where a lot of buyers were maybe sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to come down, waiting for prices to get better, and they're starting to say, all right, enough is enough. Let's pull the trigger. Let's get into something before we get into the peak buying season, because that's when it gets a little bit tricky. That's when your competition is stronger. That's when things get a little bit more chaotic, and it's just tougher for buyers, especially first-time buyers that are maybe paying, using an FHA or a VA loan. They're not putting as much down. It's a lot tougher to compete with a cash buyer, somebody that's putting 20, 30, 40, 50% down. These investor buyers, these hedge funds, these iBuyers that are coming in and buying these homes up with cash or a significant amount down. It's a lot tougher to compete with that. But I think the trend is very positive for our market. I think the other thing that we've seen is the prices have continued to kind of steadily climb. If anything, they've been a little bit flat at times, but we've never really seen a big dip that I think a lot of people were expecting. I've mentioned it in other videos before. I've talked to people for years and years and years. They're waiting for the prices to drop. They're waiting for the prices to crash, and that's just not going to happen. Now, nobody knows what the future holds, but I think the indicators that we've seen, Las Vegas is an incredibly strong market. Henderson and Las Vegas remain very desirable, not just for people living in town to get a home, but for out-of-state buyers. And there's also a lot of hedge funds and big investors that are buying homes in Las Vegas as well. I'm going to do a separate video. There was an article that came out a few weeks ago about all these hedge funds and major investors, major corporations that have been buying homes in mass in Las Vegas, really for the last 20, 25 years. But it's become a bigger problem as the city has grown, because you have a lot of people that are your normal first-time home buyers that are getting priced out. They're getting beat out by these other by these corporations that are buying them just a little bit below the market value of the home, and rather than turning it around and selling it back on the market, they're actually renting it out. So you're basically taking a home that would have normally gone to an individual, a couple, a family, whatever, that would have been their primary residence, and now that home is basically taken completely out of the inventory. It's one thing I really, really don't like. I get it for small-time investors. little, smaller investors that maybe have a few homes, 10, 15, even 20 homes that they're using for rentals to get themselves some income. But these corporations are coming in and buying homes by the hundreds, by the thousands, and taking them out of inventory for years and years and years. It really puts the buyer at a big disadvantage. And the other thing is it drives prices up, especially in that critical kind of 650 and under. It makes it a lot more difficult for people in that price range, a lot of first-time home buyers, to get into their first home. So something I'm not really a big fan of, but it's, like it or not, it's happening. So what can you do as a buyer? Get in. If you have the means, if you're going to be sticking around Las Vegas for the foreseeable future, and if you can comfortably afford the payments. Those are kind of my caveats. I know a lot of professionals in our industry, they just say buy, figure it out now, and it puts a lot of people in a difficult spot because they become house poor, they can't afford their payments, their income changes, maybe they lose their job, or their situation changes and now they're in a tough spot. I don't recommend that. So those are kind of my three main criteria. If you're a home buyer thinking about purchasing, you have to have the means to do it. You have to comfortably be able to afford the payments. That is point one, and then the rest are important, but not nearly as important as that one. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're buying a home and you can barely afford the payments in hopes that your income is going to go up. Because as we've all seen over the last few years, inflation is driving the cost of a lot of other things up. Insurance, property taxes haven't really gone up too much. They've held pretty steady. They do a good job there, but the cost of everything else, that's what can get expensive. But the other factors are you got to be thinking that you're going to stick around for more than a few years. I talk to people all the time that say they're trying to kind of time the market per se, and that can be dangerous because you're not going to be able to time the market. It's too difficult to do. But I think the other side of that too is, if you're thinking about living in a home, you can't be looking at it as an investment. You have to be looking at it as, this is where my family's going to grow up. This is where, me and my spouse or myself, I'm going to grow into the next phase of life. And this is an opportunity for me to have a stable place to live where my payments are going to be relatively the same. They're not going to go up and up and up like rent. And it gives you an opportunity to build some equity rather than paying your landlord's equity. So that's the other part of it. If you're going to be sticking around in town, don't look at it like you're trying to flip the house and have instant equity in 30, 60 days. You'll probably have some, but if you're going into it as a primary residence, a place that you're going to make memories for, the next 3 to 5 years at least, then that makes more sense. Don't look at it as I'm trying to time the market and I'm trying to, build up a bunch of equity right away. You're going to miss out on opportunities, and you're going to miss out on some great homes as well. But the other criteria that I have as well is that, it's a part of town that you're comfortable in. You go to a place, I see some people that maybe they live in Henderson, they look in the Northwest, but their office is in Henderson, or maybe they're, down in Inspirada or something like that. And, they buy a home on the other side of town. They start making the commute every day, and it's like, oh my gosh, what have we done? Like, why on earth did we buy all the way on the other side of town just to get a house? So those are kind of my main three criteria. Take in all factors. That's something important to consider when you're purchasing a home. You got to make sure that it makes sense for you. Don't just buy to buy, but buy because it makes sense for your situation, and you can start building up some equity as well. Our market remains very, very strong. Las Vegas continues to be one of the more popular growing metropolitan areas in the United States. If you drive around, you see construction, you see new buildings going up, you see new homes going up. So lots of great opportunity in that regard. And if you're thinking about selling, this is a good time to do so. But I would say probably in the next 30 to 60 days is where we're going to see the inventory. We're going to see new homes shoot up a little bit. But part of the reason for that is because we're going to see buyer demand bump up as well. So I would expect that as we get into the warmer months, as we get through kind of January into February, March, we'll see the number of new homes popping up increase, but we'll also likely see the number of homes going under contract increase as well as buyers start to flood the market. So if you're thinking about selling, this is kind of a good window. This is a good time to start prepping your home, getting ready for, if there's touch-up work that needs to be done, stuff that needs to be cleaned up, cleaned out, getting your home ready, a few simple touches can make any home look fantastic and really presentable for a buyer. It doesn't have to be perfect every single time for every single showing, but if you start doing a little bit of touch-up work here and there, that can save you a lot of money down the road on repairs, credits, things like that. It can drive up offer prices. It can increase competition for your home if you're looking to sell. So hope you guys got some value from this week's update. If you did, there are two ways that you can support this channel. The first is the easiest. Please be sure to subscribe. It's just like following me on any other social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. So just hit that subscribe button. You get notified when I post new videos on the channel. I try to put out new content. It's a little bit tricky with the holidays and things like that going on, but always trying to provide value to everyone that is nice enough to watch these videos. I know some of them are a little bit long, but I try to pack in as much value and content as I can for you. So please be sure to subscribe, like my videos if you got some value from it. And then the second way that you can support this channel is I'll put a link in the description below of this channel where you can set up a one-on-one meeting with me personally. It could be in person, it could be over the phone, it could be over, digital, video call or whatever, but gives me an opportunity to learn a little bit more about your situation. We can go over kind of what your goals are and put a plan in place for you to, whether it's buying, selling, continuing to rent, getting out of town, coming into town, whatever that may be. It just gives me an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better, learn more about your situation, and help you get on the right track to your real estate goals. So I appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next one, and we'll see you soon.